Now let's say we need to find out what exactly is the value of x and what exactly is the value of y. So to find out the value of x and y, we will be simply dropping the perpendiculars from this particular point onto the axis. So if we drop the perpendicular, it will be somewhat this way. So this will give me the idea that the x coordinate out here will be 4. And similarly, if I drop the perpendiculars on the y-axis, it will give me the value of y as 2. And this coordinate will have this point P, will have the coordinates as 4, 2. So basically, we can simply drop down the perpendiculars onto the axis and get the value in place. Though we have discussed this fact that the geometrical figures are not drawn to scale, but the point is we are talking with respect to number lines, and in the context of GRE, the number lines are basically drawn to scale. So if a figure is given with respect to the coordinate system, then in that case, we can take into consideration the exact nature as what we have just discussed. So we can conclude that the coordinates of point P will be 4, 2. That's for sure, because the number lines are always drawn to scale. Secondly, and most importantly, if you look at the quadrant, you will analyze this fact that in the first quadrant, it is basically having x as positive, y as positive. So any point of the form positive, positive will lie in the first quadrant. Similarly, if you look at the second quadrant, you will analyze x is going to be negative and y is going to be positive. So it will be of the form negative, positive. In the third quadrant, x is negative, so as y is negative. And in the fourth quadrant, x is positive and y is negative. So basically the point is, by just looking at the point, I can tell in which quadrant it is going to lie. So here, if there is a point as 4, 3, so it is all about positive, positive. So it will lie in the first quadrant. If it would have been minus 4, 3, then it will lie in the second quadrant. If it is, let's say, minus 3, minus 4, it will lie in the third quadrant. And had it been 4, minus 3, it will lie in the fourth quadrant. So basically the point is, by just looking at the point, I can tell in which quadrant it is going to lie. As discussed, as I mentioned, that x-axis and y-axis are two number lines. So I have already told this fact that the distance between these 2 points or these two parameters will always be same. So the distance between 2 and 3 will be the same distance between this 2 and 3, will be the same distance between this minus 2 and minus 3, will be the same distance between this minus 2 and minus 3. So this is always going to be same in all the quadrants because they are representing the number lines. So this distance has to be always same. So I was telling this fact that by just looking at the point, I can tell in which quadrant it is going to lie because the placement is always going to be of the same form. So first quadrant will have positive, positive, second quadrant will have negative, positive, third quadrant will have negative, negative, and fourth quadrant will have positive, negative. But let's say there is a point as 4, 0, and we are asked in which quadrant does it lie. So you will notice this point 4, 0 is going to be 4 units on x-axis and 0 on y. So it will be the point on x-axis. Now the point is, if this point lies on x-axis, then in that case, you can simply say this fact that this lies neither in first nor in fourth quadrant. It lies on x-axis. Similarly, if the coordinates are 0, 4, so it will be 0, 4. So it will be somewhere out here. If let's say it is minus 4, 0, so it will be minus 4 on x-axis, 0 on y. So it will be this point. And then 0, minus 4. So 0, minus 4 will be somewhere out here. So the point and the objective out here is that these will be the 4 set of points which will lie on the axis and it will never lie inside the quadrant. So what is very important to notice out here is that these are the set of points which will lie inside the quadrant and these are the set of points which will lie on the axis. If the points are lying inside the quadrant, then they cannot lie on the axis. And if they are lying on the axis, they cannot lie inside the quadrant. So that means x-axis and y-axis stand alone. They do not fall in any of the quadrant. But yes, they segregate the quadrant for sure. So you can simply generalize the idea. Any point which is above x-axis on the right of y-axis will lie in the first quadrant. Above x-axis on the left of y-axis will lie in the second quadrant. Below x-axis on the left of y-axis will lie in the third quadrant, and below x-axis on the right of y-axis will lie in the fourth quadrant. So these can be segregated on the basis of the quadrant, but the point is, if the point is lying inside the quadrant, it cannot lie on the axis, and if it is lying on the axis, it cannot lie inside the quadrant. That is for very sure. Moreover, if I join these four vertices, so 0 comma 4 comma 0 with 0 comma 4, this with this, then this with this with this, and let us also name this as ABCD. Now you need to tell me this ABCD out here will form out which figure? ABCD out here will be which figure will it form? ABCD having coordinates 4 comma 0 0 comma 4. Exactly, it will form out a square. So ABCD out here will be a square. Area of the square is side square. So what will be the area of this ABCD as the square? Awesome. If you say 16, I am assuming you are saying 4 square, which turns out to be 16, which is the wrong answer to the question. If you say 16, then you are assuming the side of the square to be 4 units. But unfortunately, how did you get to know that the side, which is AB, is of length 4 units? I simply said that the 4 coordinates will be 4 comma 0 0 comma 4 minus 4 comma 0 0 comma minus 4. That does not mean that the length of the side of the square is going to be 4 units. It basically means that this much length is 4 units. So this coordinate B is 4 units away from the origin. Similarly, the coordinate C is 4 units away from the origin. And this angle is 90 degrees. So based on the Pythagoras theorem, the side of the square will turn out to be 4 root 2, which when plugged in out here will give you the area, which is 4 root 2 square. That will be 32 square units. So the point out here is you can go by this mechanism by finding out the side of the square and then finding out the area, or you can also go by area of the square is all about half diagonal square. Now, if this much is of 4 units length, this also will also be 4 units and the complete diagonal will be 8 units. So you can simply go by the formula half into 8 square, which is going to be 64 over 2, which will also give you the same answer as 32. So here also you were getting the answer as 32. Here also you're getting the answer as 32. So the point out here is area of this square will always remain same and correct as 32, immaterial of the fact whether you are using this formula to find out the area or you are using this formula to find out the area. The point and the objective is if side of the square is not given and still you are expected to find out the area, so it's not mandatory to find out the side. And moreover, you should not be falling into the trap as I have already shown. So the question will also say this way that 4 vertices of the square are 4 0 0 4 minus 4 comma 0 0 comma minus 4. Find the area of the square. Now the 4 vertices are this does not imply that the side is also 4 units. You need to work on the same idea and get the answer. You could have also done this way that you could have figured out the area of the triangle BOC and multiply it with 4 to get the final area of this square. So either ways you can do it to get the correct area, but the point is you should be very conscious about this quadrant system. So this quadrant system should be very clear to everyone. So guys, are we all clear on this idea, what we have discussed just now? Awesome then. 30 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay, Pushpa, please take care. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Okay, guys. So moving on. Now we are going to discuss few of the formulas which are required in this context. So let's say there is a point A whose coordinates are x1 comma y1, and there is another point B whose coordinates are x2 comma y2, and let's say there is a line which passes through these 2 points A and B. Now let's say we need to find out what is the length of the line segment AB, or let's say we need to find out the distance between the 2 points A and B. So to find out the distance between 2 points, we will be using distance formula. The distance formula goes by the formula that is square root of x2 minus x1 whole squared plus y2 minus y1 whole squared. So it is all about difference between x coordinate square plus difference between y coordinate square whole square root. That gives the distance between the 2 points A and B. So you can be asked what is the length of the line segment AB, or you can be asked distance between the 2 points A and B. Just a second, guys. Okay. So to remember the idea, we can simply go by the formula that is difference of x coordinate square plus difference of y coordinate square whole square root gives you the distance between the 2 points A and B. So you can be asked what is the distance between the 2 points AB, or you can also be asked what is the length of the line segment AB. Also, if let's say there is a point C, which is the point of bisection of AB, which can also be called as the midpoint. If C is the midpoint and we are asked find the coordinates of the midpoint, so we will be using midpoint formula to find out the coordinates of C, which is all about x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So it's all about average of x coordinates, comma average of y coordinates gives you the midpoint. So this will be giving you the coordinates of the midpoint C. So average of x coordinates, comma average of y coordinates gives you the coordinates of point C. So you can be asked the midpoint of the line segment, or you can be asked point of bisection. So simply remember bi means two, section means part. So two equal parts will relate to the context of bisection, which can be calculated by midpoint formula. So these are the two basic formulas which you need to relate to the idea of this chapter. So this will be the basic ground level, I would say, which you need to remember. Length of the line segment AB, or the distance between the 2 points A and B, as well as coordinates, finding out the coordinates of the midpoint. Note down the idea, note down the formulas, and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now, the next idea we are going to talk about is slope. So first of all, we will understand the meaning of the word slope, and then we'll relate to the idea of the slope of a line. So as we all know, we live in a mountainous region. So we can simply relate to the idea of the slope. Slope basically is somewhat associated with the context of mountains. So basically the point is mountains originate from the base. Base is earth in the context of mountains. And if we want to know how steep or how flat the mountain is, we basically relate to the slope of the mountain. So we say that how steep and flat it is with respect to the base is basically known as slope of the mountain. Similarly, out here, the base is going to be x-axis. So inclination of the line with the positive direction of x-axis denotes the slope of the line. So the angle formed by this line and x-axis is basically the slope of the line. But unfortunately, to understand this idea, we need to have a deep knowledge about trigonometry, and trigonometry is not the part of our course, so we'll keep this angle formation out of the context. Though on basic ground level, on the basic meaning, the inclination of the line with the positive direction of x-axis, that means the angle formed by this line, and x-axis denotes the slope of the line. But unfortunately, we have to avoid trigonometry as the concept for GRE. So we'll keep this formation out, and we'll simply understand that slope of a line with respect to GRE is all about rate of change of y-axis divided by rate of change of x-axis. That means in simple terms, I can say change in y coordinates divided by change in x coordinates will fetch you the slope of the line. Let's say a line is passing through the points x1 comma y1 and another point x2 comma y2. So to find out the slope of the line, which is denoted by the letter m, I'll simply calculate it as y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So it's all about change in y coordinates divided by change in x coordinates that gives you the slope of the line. Just be conscious about this fact that if you are taking y2 first in the numerator, you need to take x2 first in the denominator. You cannot say y2 minus y1 divided by x1 minus x2. You need to be very conscious about it. For an instance, if let's say I'm taking 3 comma 5 as this point and another point as 7 comma 5, and let's say we need to find out the slope of this line passing through these 2 points. So in fact, this point should be somewhat like 3 comma 2, not 3 comma 5. So let's say this is 3 comma 2 and this point as 7 comma 5. And let's say we need to find out the slope of the line passing through these 2 points. So it will be simply y2 minus y1. So that will be 5 minus 2 divided by x2 minus x1. So if we have taken 5 first in the numerator, we need to take 7 first in the denominator. So that will form out 5 minus 2 divided by 7 minus 3. So the slope of the line will simply turn out to be 3 divided by 4, and that will be the answer. So you need to be very conscious about this fact that if you are taking 5 first in the numerator, you need to take 7 first in the denominator. You cannot go in the other order, because if you go in the other order, the value of the slope will change and automatically the answer will go wrong. And the sign with respect to the slope is very important, whether it is positive or negative, what exactly it is of very important concern. So that is what you need to be always mindful about while solving out the question. So out here in the context of GRE, I would just generalize one fact, which you can simply see out here as well. That is, if I wish to find out the slope of the line, I need to have at least 2 points on the same line. If I have 2 points on the same line, then only I'll be able to calculate the slope of the line. Otherwise, there is no other way out. So just make sure that you also are always finding out the answer in the same context. So if you want to find out the slope of the line, you need to have at least 2 points on the same line. If you have 2 points on the same line, then only you will be able to find out the slope of the line. By meaning, slope of the line is all about change in y coordinates over change in x coordinate. So rate of change of y divided by rate of change of x gives you the slope of the line, which goes by this formula. Note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay guys, now moving on. Now we'll be discussing about the properties of the slope of the line, wherein the very first context will be understanding the fact that which line will have positive slope and which line will have negative slope. Right away, I'll give you the explanation and the justification that which line will have positive slope and which line will have negative slope. But after that justification, you'll be just generalizing the rule and using that same context in the exam. You are not going to actually always formulate the answer that ways. Now, first of all, if you look at the graph made on screen, you will find out there are two lines L1 and L2. And here you can simply analyze that we need to figure out what will be the slope of the line L1 and what will be the slope of line L2 with regards to the sign. So if you look at the line L1, slope is all about rate of change of y. Change in y over change in x is what basically is denoted by slope. So change in y over change in x is what I need to look for this line L1. Now, if you notice, this L1 is moving up from left to right. So first of all, the generalization which you need to make is that you will always look at the graph in the context of left to right. And we always read the question also. And in mathematics, we go from left to right only. Now, if you look at the line L1 from left to right, you will analyze this is moving up, which means if I look at x, if I go on the x-axis, that is from left to right, if I go, then this line is moving up. That means if x is increasing, that means it is going from left to right. So x is moving towards positive side. So if x is increasing, alongside y is also increasing because it is moving from left to right up. So if x is increasing, y is also increasing. So slope of line L1 will be all about a positive change in y divided by a positive change in x. And here, positive over positive will certainly give you a positive answer. So we can generalize this idea that slope of the line L1 will be something positive. Similarly, now if you look at the line L2, you will analyze L2 is moving down from left to right. That means if you further look down, when x is increasing, the y value is decreasing. So it is moving in the opposite direction. So when x is increasing, y is decreasing because it is moving in the opposite direction. It is going down. That means if I look closely, I can say there is negative change in y divided by a positive change in x. So a negative over positive will fetch you a negative answer, and we can generalize the idea that slope of the line L2 will be negative. Now here, it is immaterial of the fact that the lines are passing through which quadrants. But yes, It is of very much importance now. If you look at line L1, you will analyze it is moving up from left to right. So it is a raising or the ascending line. So any line which moves up from left to right is positively sloped line. Similarly, a falling or descending line, which means any line which is moving down from left to right will have a negative slope, which is what you can see here also. So slope of the line L1 will be positive, slope of the line L2 will be negative, and you can generalize the idea that any line which moves up from left to right will be positively sloped. Any line which goes down from left to right will be negatively sloped. That's one thing. Second important thing which you need to remember is that's the second property. This gives rise to another concept actually. All the lines which are parallel to each other. So be it this line, 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 be it this line. All the lines which are parallel to each other will always have equal slopes. So the lines are parallel, then in that case, their slopes are going to be equal to each other. Secondly, if the lines are perpendicular, then product of their slopes will be equals to -1. So here we have learned four things. That is, if the line moves up from left to right, it will be positively sloped. If the line goes down from left to right, it will be negatively sloped. If two lines are parallel to each other, their slopes are going to be equal. If two lines are perpendicular to each other, then product of their slopes will be equals to -1. So guys, are we clear about the justification here? But ultimately, you need to remember the end result, not the justification. Are we all clear on this? Awesome then. Note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay guys, now moving on. Now this was about line being moving up from left to right, line being moving down from left to right. So it will have positive and the negative slope. Two lines which are parallel to each other will have equal slope. Two lines which are perpendicular to each other, then in that case, product of their slopes will be equals to -1. Now let's say if the line is parallel to x-axis, then what will happen to the slope of that line? So if a line is parallel to x-axis, so this will be the x-axis, this will be the y-axis, and this line is parallel to x-axis. So to find out the slope of the line as discussed, we will be taking 2 points on this line. So let's say I'm taking one of the point out here. So the coordinates of that will be 0, y. And let's say I take one of the point out here, the coordinates of that will be x, y. And in both the cases, the y coordinate needs to be same because this line is parallel to x-axis. So now if I wish to find out the slope of this line, it will be equals to y minus y divided by x minus 0. So the numerator, which is y minus y, will turn out to be equals to 0 divided by x minus 0, which will be x. And upon solving, 0 over x will turn out to be equals to 0. Now we have generalized this idea. If two lines are parallel to each other, their slopes are going to be equal. So if this line is parallel to x-axis, if this line has a slope of 0, then x-axis will also have a slope of 0. So we can generalize this idea that slope of x-axis is going to be equals to 0. And any line which is parallel to x-axis will also have slope as 0. Slope of x-axis is going to be 0 and any line parallel to x-axis will also have slope as 0. The justification is in front of you. Similarly, let's take out a line which is parallel to y-axis. Now, if I take a line parallel to y-axis, then in that case, this is y-axis, this is x-axis. So I'll need to take 2 points on this line. So let's say I take this as one of the point having coordinates x comma 0 and another point on the same line having coordinates as x comma y. So in this scenario, because this line is parallel to y-axis, so the x coordinates of both the points will be same. So now the slope of the line will be slope of the line will be y minus 0 divided by x minus x. And in this context, the denominator will be equals to 0. If the denominator is 0, then this fraction will become not defined, or you can say undefined. And now you can generalize this idea that this line has a slope of undefined and this line is parallel to y-axis. So we can generalize this idea that slope of y-axis is going to be not defined. And any line which is parallel to y-axis will also have slope as undefined. So if a line is parallel to x-axis, the slope needs to be 0. If the line is parallel to y-axis, the slope needs to be undefined. This is something which you need to be mindful about. So altogether, we have analyzed 6 situations here. First one is if the line goes up from left to right, it will be positively sloped. If the line goes down from left to right, it will be negatively sloped. If two lines are parallel, their slopes are going to be equal. If two lines are perpendicular, product of their slopes will be equals to -1. If a line is parallel to x-axis, it will have a slope of 0. If the line is parallel to y-axis, it will have a slope of undefined or not defined. Are we all clear on these basic points? Great then. 30 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay guys, moving on. Now this is the next aspect, that is equation of a line. Do remember that whenever we will be talking about equation of a line, so in this context, we will always be generalizing the idea that is equation of the line goes by the formula y is equals to mx plus c. In your career or in your school time or college time, you must have learned many numerous formulas for finding out this equation of the line. But in the context of GRE, we'll keep it standard, straightforward. We are not going to go haywire or here and there. It's just simply about equation of the line goes by the formula y is equals to mx plus c, where x and y are different variables. M denotes the slope of the line and this c denotes the y-intercept of the line. And that's why this equation y is equals to mx plus c is called slope-intercept form. So I'm using the word as intercept. So first of all, you should know what exactly is intercept. So let's say this is the graph, this is the line. This line is touching x-axis at this point, and this line is touching y-axis at this point. So therefore, this will be called as x-intercept, and this will be called as y-intercept. So intercept is basically the point at which the line touches x and the y-axis. So this coordinate will be minus x comma 0, and this will be 0 comma minus y. So it basically comes with sign. So what we are trying to discuss is that if let's say there is a line given to us like this, and this coordinate is given to us as 0 comma 200, then directly the y-intercept of the line will be 200, and I will say the equation of the line is y is equals to mx plus 200. So you can directly place out this value 200 out here. So just be conscious about this fact. Secondly, and most importantly, what you need to also remember is that in general, when we write the equation of the line, we write in this form: ax plus by plus c is equals to 0. Something like 2x plus 3y plus 6 is equals to 0. So we write in general form like this. We don't write in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. But the point is, if we write in the form of ax plus by plus c is equals to 0, then in that case, it does not give me much of the information about the equation of the line. But fortunately, if I convert and write in the form of y is equals to mx plus c, we get to know many things about the equation of the line. Because when we write in the form of y is equals to mx plus c, I get to know the slope of the line, I get to know the y-intercept of the line, and it can directly help us to formulate and get the nature of the line in place. So the point is, if it is given ax plus by plus c is equals to 0, then convert it in the form of y is equals to mx plus c to get the meaning out of it. So basically what I'm trying to say is, convert this by keeping by on one side and take the rest of the things to the other. So it will become minus ax minus c, and then it will become y is equals to minus a by bx minus c by b. So upon comparing it with y is equals to mx plus c, you'll get to know that the slope of the line will be minus a by b and the y-intercept will be minus c by b. And this is how you can get or draw out the meaning from it. So basically the point is, if had it been given as 2x plus 3y plus 6 is equals to 0, so I would have kept 3y on one side, it would have been equals to minus 2x minus 6, and y would have been equals to minus 2 by 3x minus 6 by 3. So upon comparing it with y is equals to mx plus c, I get to know the slope and the sign of the slope. I get to know the y-intercept. So I get a lot of things in nature known about it. So just make sure that every time whatever is given to you, you are expected to convert in the y is equals to mx plus c form, and then get and draw out the meaning from it so that it becomes easy for you to draw the conclusion about the line. So guys, does that make sense to everyone? So make a note of it, and then we'll move on. Yeah, slope will be minus 2 by 3 and y-intercept will be minus 2. $15 and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now, there are specific lines which you should be very much clear about. So, the very first line is this: y is equals to x. Now, in general, the equation of the line goes by the formula y is equals to mx plus c, and the given situation is y is equals to x. So, you can clearly say this fact that out here, because it is y is equals to x, so the coefficient of x needs to be 1. So, the slope of the line needs to be 1, and y-intercept, which is missing, needs to be equals to 0. So that means I get to know that the slope of the line will be plus 1. That means it's positive. And the y-intercept needs to be 0. That means the line will be positively sloped passing through the origin. So positively sloped line having slope exactly 1 passing through the origin will look like somewhat this way. And because it is y is equals to x line, so this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So it will divide the complete coordinate plane into two equal halves. So the portion on the left hand side will be equals to the portion on the right hand side. So basically, we can simply generalize this idea that out here, this will form an angle of 45 degrees with x-axis, and it will divide the complete 90 degrees angle into two equal halves. So you can also generalize this idea that it will divide the first quadrant as well as the third quadrant into two equal halves. Secondly, if you notice, the equation of the line is y is equals to x. That means on this line, if the value of x is 1, y will also be 1. On this line, if the value of x is 2, y will also be 2. On this line, if the value of x is minus 3, y will also be minus 3. So basically, both x and y will have same magnitude and same sign. Further, if you look at the first quadrant in this context, you will analyze that on this line y is equals to x. Only in the first quadrant I am talking about. On this line y is equals to x and y both will be equal to each other. If you now pick up any point below this line in the first quadrant, you will analyze this much will be the x coordinate and only this much will be the y coordinate. And by length, this x coordinate will be greater than this y coordinate. So I can simply generalize this idea that if you take a point in the first quadrant below this line y is equals to x, then x coordinate will be greater than the y coordinate. Similarly, if you take up a point in the first quadrant above this line, then in that case, x coordinate will be lesser than the y coordinate. So basically the point is, in the first quadrant, on this line, x will be equals to y. Below this line, x will be greater than y. Above this line, x will be lesser than y. Does this point make sense to everyone?
Could you repeat that once again?
I'm saying in the first quadrant, if you take a point on this line, y is equals to x, then in that case, x and y will be equal to each other. Obviously, it is given that y is equals to x. Then I said, if you take up a point in the first quadrant below this line, so if you take up a point somewhere out here below this line in the first quadrant, this much will be the x coordinate and only this much will be the y coordinate. So definitely the length of x coordinate will be greater than the length of y coordinate. So I can simply generalize this idea that x coordinate will be greater than y coordinate in the first quadrant below this line y is equals to x. Similarly, if you pick up any point above this line, it will have only this much x coordinate and this much as the y coordinate. So if you compare, x coordinate will be lesser than the y coordinate in the first quadrant above this line.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Welcome. So guys, is everyone clear about this idea? Awesome then. 15 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay guys, moving on. Similarly, if you take up the line as y is equals to minus x, so upon comparing it with y is equals to mx plus c, we get to know it is going to be y is equals to minus 1x plus 0. So it will have a negative slope with 0 y-intercept. So the line will look like somewhat this way. And this also will make an angle of 45 degrees with the x-axis, as you can see like this. So this will also divide the complete coordinate plane into two equal halves. So the portion on the left hand side will be equal to the portion on the right hand side. That's one thing. And second important thing which you can notice out here is that the equation of the line is y is equals to minus x. So you can generalize the idea that if you take x as 1, y will be minus 1. If you take x as 2, y will be minus 2. If you take x as minus 3, y will be plus 3. So the point is that both x and y coordinate will have same magnitude, but they will have opposite signs. So that is something you need to be mindful about. X and y coordinate will have opposite sign because the equation of the line is y is equal to minus x. And just remember nothing else, that it will divide the second and the fourth quadrant into two equal halves. Nothing much to discuss about it. That's all what we need to know. Make a note of it and then we'll move on.
Excuse me, sir. Is there no relation between x and y below and above the line?
There is, but we don't need to care about it because that is not tested in GRE. So if that is the thing which I explained, that happens to be only in the first quadrant. So that is something you need to be mindful about, only about the line y is equals to x. It has nothing to do out here. Okay, so moving on. Now let us try out certain questions so that we get the confidence that what we are discussing makes sense. So here is the first question. Try it out and then we'll discuss at length. Post your answers in the chat box. Just a second. Wait. One thing I wanted to discuss, I missed on. Before this question, I'll just simply explain one fact that if there is a line which is parallel to x-axis, then what should be the equation of that line? So if a line is parallel to x-axis, it should look like somewhat this way. Generalizing the idea, if this is x-axis, this is y-axis, then the line which is parallel to x-axis will be of the form y is equals to plus minus c, wherein c is going to be the y-intercept, and it will be y is equals to plus c if it is above x-axis, and it will be y is equals to minus c if it is below x-axis. Similarly, if there is a line which is parallel to y-axis, so it will look like somewhat this way. On the general aspect, the equation of the line will be x is equals to plus minus d, wherein d is any constant. It will be x is equals to plus d if it is on the right of y-axis, and it will be x is equals to minus d if it is on the left of y-axis. So these are four generalization which you need to be mindful about. C is the y-intercept as discussed. D is any constant, which is what you need to remember. Note down this idea and then we'll move to that question. Just for the better clarity, why it is written in this form, y is equals to c, y is equals to minus c, x is equals to d, x is equals to minus d. You'll analyze if this line is parallel to x-axis. Then in that case, the y coordinate on this line will always be some constant. X could be any damn number in this world. So that is why you can take up x as anything, but y will be the same constant as throughout. That is why it is going to be the equation as y is equals to c. Similarly, y is equals to minus c implies y coordinate will always remain same on this line. X could be any damn number on this line. Similarly, if you look at the graph on the right hand side, x is equals to d implies the x coordinate on this complete line will remain same. The y coordinate will keep on changing. Similarly, x coordinate on this line will always remain same as minus d. Y coordinate can be anything. So that is why we are fixing x coordinate or the y coordinate as something and then relating out the equation of the line. So just remember that. Now try out this question, please. Okay, guys, let's begin with. So it says C is the midpoint of the line segment AB. Find the coordinates of C if the slope of the line passing through A is 1. Slope of the line passing through A is 1. And slope of the line passing through B is 1 by 3. Now, if you notice about this figure, you will encounter the fact that x is equals to 6 is given. These lines are passing through A, B, and C, and they are also passing through the origin 0, 0. So if you analyze, the coordinates of B will be something like 6, y. Coordinates of C will be something like 6, y1, and coordinates of A will be something like 6, y2, because they are falling on the line x equals to 6. So the value of x will be 6, value of y is what you need to figure out. And ultimately, you need to find out the coordinate of C, which is the midpoint of the line segment AB. So if you get to know the points or the vertices of A and B, automatically you'll get to know C. Now the question says slope of the line passing through A is 1. Line which is passing through A is also passing through the origin. So the slope of the line passing through A and origin will be y2 minus 0 divided by 6 minus 0 is equals to 1. So that gives you the value of y2 as 6 itself. So this coordinate will become 6, 6. Similarly, the slope of the line passing through B is 1 by 3. So the slope of the line which is passing through B and 0, 0 will be y minus 0 divided by 6 minus 0 is equals to 1 by 3, and upon solving y will be equals to 6 by 3, that will be 2. So the coordinates of y will be 2. That means this will become 6, 2. So now A is 6, 6, B is 6, 2, and we need to find out the coordinates of C. C is the midpoint of the line segment AB, having x coordinate as 6 only, and y will be simply 2 plus 4 divided by 2. Oh, sorry, 2 plus 6 divided by 2. So that makes it 6, 8 by 2. That will be 4. And the coordinates of point C will be 6, 4. And that will be the answer to the question. So basically, you just need to analyze that the line which is passing through A is also passing through the origin. So slope will hold this value. Similarly, B is also passing through the origin. So slope will be this value. Based on that, you can easily figure out the coordinates of A and B. And C is the midpoint of AB. You can use that relationship and get the answer. Are we all clear on this question? Great then. 15 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now try out this question, please. Okay. Please give your reasoning. How will you get the answer to this question? You can open your mic and speak.
The angle made by L2 is greater than that of L1 with x-axis, so the slope of L2 is more.
But that is applicable till 90 degree, but not after that. As the quadrant shifts, this storyline goes on the other side. So you can't say like that. If your reasoning is based on the angle formation, then definitely that's not the correct way to deal with it. See, the point is, if one line would have been like this, other would have been like this, I could have said one has positive slope, one has negative slope, and I could have figured out which one is greater or smaller. But out here, the concept is something like both the lines will have a negative slope. And the question is, which line will have more negative, which line will have less negative, which line will have greater slope, which line will have smaller slope. So just for a moment, we are expected to compare two negative numbers out here. So how will I compare? That is my question to you all. So that is something you need to tell, and do make sure that if you are talking with respect to angle formation, then that's not the correct way to deal with this question. So have something else in mind. What is going to be that something? That is what I want to hear now.
Sir, the line L2 is above the x0.
So is L1. So how will you compare?
So L1 is passing through this zero coordinate center.
So how does it matter?
So
I told you while explaining the concept that it doesn't matter the line is passing through which quadrant or where exactly, but it does matter what is the rate of change of y divided by rate of change of x gives you the slope of the line.
Yeah.
So you need to relate to that. It has no relevance that it is passing through the origin and it is not, so doesn't make any difference. Sorry. No, that's not the way. Okay. Do you all remember I said to find out the slope of the line, you need to have 2 points on the same line? Yes or no? Yes. So we need to get into that. Perfectly said, steepness. But the point is how we are going to generalize the rule. Let me explain that. See, in the theory part, when I was explaining the concept of the slope, I said we need to have at least 2 points on the same line to figure out the slope of the line. And I was using this statement for this particular question only. So what I'm going to do is, because I clearly know that the passing or the passage of these two lines are exactly through this particular quadrant. So I can clearly state this fact that this line, which is L1, is passing through, let's say, this point and this common vertex. And this line L2 is passing through, let's say, this point and this common vertex. So in a way, I'm going to take certain common points in the second quadrant and then calculate the slope of the line and generalize the rule thereupon. Basically, the point is that we are going to get the slope of the line with respect to rate of change of y divided by rate of change of x. And for betterment and for helpful concern, I'm going to fix certain points. So let's say the coordinates out here for L1 and L2 for these two vertices, let's take a common x coordinate, let's say minus 5 comma 3 out here, and let's say minus 5 comma 1 out here. And let's say the common vertex is minus 1 comma 1. Or in fact, let's take this as 2 and this coordinate as minus 1 comma 1. Now, if I get to the line L1, then in that case, slope of the line L1 will be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now, this will be 3 minus 1, which is 2, divided by this will be minus 5 plus 1. And this will turn out to be 2 over minus 4, which will be minus half. Minus half means minus 0.5. And slope of the line L2 will be y2 minus y1. So let's take it as 2 minus 1 divided by x2 minus x1. So that will be minus 5 minus of minus 1. So this will make it 2 minus 1, which is 1, divided by minus 4. So this will be minus 0.25. And clearly this is minus 0.5, this is minus 0.25. So which line will have greater slope? L1 or L2? Which number is greater, minus 0.5 or minus 0.25? L2. So the answer to the question will be option B. Now the point out here which I'm trying to say is, earlier also you were saying B will be the answer to the question. I am totally okay with that, but the point is, for finding out the slope of the line, this is the foolproof mechanism to relate the idea. If you have better approach, if you want to go by that, and if you are 100% confident on your approach, then perfectly fine. If not, if you have any doubt in mind, then this is the perfect scenario with which you can go and get the correct result in place. Does the process make sense to everyone? Great. 15 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now try out this question, please. Awesome, guys. Let's begin with. Clearly, if you notice the figure given out here, you will encounter the fact that this line which is given to us is passing through minus 4 comma 4 and it is also passing through 0 comma 0. So this equation of the line will be y is equals to minus x. Now, further, if you notice that this point P comma Q lies below this line in the second quadrant. So definitely, if I pick up a point on this line, it will be somewhere around, let's say, if this is minus 4 comma 4, then this needs to be minus 3 comma 3. And this point lies below this line. So should have x coordinate as minus 3 only. And let's say y coordinate is 2. Similarly, if you look at this, A comma B, this point is lying in the fourth quadrant. So it needs to be of the form positive comma negative, but it is lying above this line. So it will definitely have something like, if I pick up a point on this line somewhere out here, so that will be, let's say, 4 comma minus 4. So if I take up a point above this line, it will have x coordinate as 4 only and y coordinate will be something lesser than that. So let's say minus 3. So this coordinate will be something like this. Now we need to find out a plus b. So a out here is 4 plus b out here is minus 3 and p plus q. P is minus 3 plus q which is 2. So this will make it 4 minus 3 which is going to be plus 1 and this will make it minus 3 plus 2 which is going to be minus 1 and clearly plus 1 will definitely be greater than minus 1. So the answer to this question will be option A. So I still remember somebody asked me the relationship for y is equals to minus x and I said you don't need it because I was ultimately going to discuss that in this question, wherein you can clearly see this fact that if you take up a point below this line, it will be of this nature, above this line will be of this nature, and you can use and analyze this nature to get the things sorted. But ultimately, the objective is something which you need to be mindful about, picking up the random numbers, but that too close to the actual ones to get the correct relationship established between them. So guys, does this process make sense to everyone? Great then. 15 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay guys, moving on. Now try out this question please. Okay. So it says find the equation of the line that passes through the points 4, 5 and 6, 9. So we need to find out y is equals to mx plus c. So first of all, we'll figure out the slope of the line, which will be simply 9 minus 5 divided by 6 minus 4. So 9 minus 5 will be 4 divided by 6 minus 4, which is 2. Slope of the line will turn out to be 2. So you'll get to know y is equals to 2x plus c is the equation of the line. So now to find out the value of c, we'll simply plug in the points or the points in the equation. I can either plug in 4, 5 or I can plug in 6, 9 to find the value of c. Both will give you the same answer. So if I plug in 5, 4, it will be 5 is equals to 2 multiplied by 4 plus c. So 5 minus 8 will be equals to c. C will turn out to be equals to minus 3. So the equation of the line will be y is equals to 2x minus 3 as the equation of the line, which will be the answer to the question. So guys, does that make sense to everyone? Okay, then moving on. Yes, please try out this question. So there are two parts to it. You need to solve both the parts. Okay. Now the question says the line L passes through the point 3, 7 and 8, 2. The line L passes through these points 3, 7 and 8, 2. We need to find out the equation of the line perpendicular to L and passing through 3, 7. So first of all, let us find out the slope of the line L. So that will be 2 minus 7 divided by 8 minus 3. So 2 minus 7 will be minus 5 divided by 8 minus 3 is 5. So slope of the line turns out to be minus 1. So slope of line L will be minus 1. So slope of the line which is perpendicular to this line will be equals to, the product of the slopes will be equals to minus 1. And based on that, slope of line will turn out to be 1. So now I need to find out the equation of the line that has a slope of 1 and passes through 3, 7. So y is equals to mx plus c is the concern. So slope is 1. So y is equals to 1x plus c. If you plug in out here, you'll get the equation of the line. So 7 will be equals to 3 plus c. And this will give you the value of c as 7 minus 3, which is 4. So the equation of the line will become y is equals to 1x plus 4. So that will be the answer for the first part. For the second part, it says equation of the line parallel to L and passing through the origin. So slope of this line is minus 1. So the line which is parallel to this line will have a slope of minus 1 itself, and it is passing through the origin. So y is equals to mx plus c is the concern. Slope is minus 1. Y-intercept is 0. So y is equals to minus 1x plus 0. That gives you y is equals to minus x as the equation of the line. So that will be the answer for the second part. So guys, are we all clear about this second question? Okay, those who have got the wrong answer, are we all clear about the first and the second part and their correct answers? Awesome. Okay, Sagar. Perfect then. Moving on, guys. Now, I'm just using the empty space on the screen. It has nothing to do with the second question. So, let me give you the analysis of this chapter actually. So, just a second. Now, till now, whatever we have discussed, you must have done in your school time or college time, whatever it is. But now the analysis part of this chapter is very important, wherein we will analyze and generalize the idea altogether. Now, first of all, let me tell you, if the equation of the line is given to you as x plus y is equals to 2, and let's say you need to form out or plot this information on the graph. So how will you plot it? So if you go back to the school time, you will analyze that if the equation of the line is given, then in that case, you first of all fix up certain values for x and y and then plot them on the graph and then get the graph to it. So if you take x as 0, y will become 2. If you take x as 1, y will become 1. If you take y as 0, x will become 2. And now if you plot these points on the graph, so it will be 0 comma 2, then 1 comma 1, then 2 comma 0. And joining these 3 points will give you the line on the graph. Now the ultimate objective of doing this is to draw out this intention on the graph. But the point is in GRE, if you notice, they cannot ask you to draw a neat and clean diagram. So wasting the time on the preparation, or I would say on the making of the graph, is of no use to us. So drawing a neat and clean diagram is not the context. Context will be something after that. So that after that concern should be spent with the time rather than spending time on making the graph. So I'm not going to make the graph like this. I'm going to generalize the idea and make the graph based on that. So generally, we have the equation of the line as y is equals to mx plus c. So herein we are going to generalize the slope of the line to be positive or negative and y-intercept to be positive, 0 or negative. And based on that, we will generalize that the idea is going to have 6 different lines on the graph. So let me first of all plot them up and then I'll explain how exactly it works. So basically we are saying that if I generalize slope of the line to be positive, then in that case, there will be 3 different lines which can be formed out here on this graph. That is, first line will denote a positive slope with positive y-intercept. Second line will denote a positive slope with 0 y-intercept. And third line will denote the positive slope with negative y-intercept. Similarly, if you take the slope of the line to be negative, then also you will form out 3 different lines. This is going to be fourth line, this is going to be fifth line, this is going to be sixth line. Fourth line will denote a negative slope with positive y-intercept. Fifth line will denote a negative slope with 0 y-intercept, and sixth line will denote a negative slope with negative y-intercept. So basically the point is, by just looking at the equation of the line, generalizing the idea what exactly is the sign of the slope, what exactly is the y-intercept, I can quickly draw out the information on the graph and then can spend time on the calculation of whatever is asked thereupon. So my point and the objective is, if the graph goes by y plus, let's say the graph goes by x plus y is equals to 2, then first of all, I'm going to write it as y is equals to minus x plus 2. So I get to know negative slope with positive y-intercept. So negative slope with positive y-intercept has to be this line. The graph is sorted, done in few seconds. You can answer whatever is asked based on this. Similarly, had it been 2x minus 3y plus 6 is equals to 0. So I would have simply wrote it as minus 3y is equals to minus 2x minus 6. Y will be equals to 2 by 3x plus 6 by 3. And now I got to know that it has a positive slope with positive y-intercept. So positive slope with positive y-intercept will be this particular line. Graph is sorted. Whatever the question is asked based on it, I can answer now. So basically the point is, I am not going to waste time in plugging in the values of x and y to generalize the idea. I'm going to simply generalize in the context of y is equals to mx plus c and quickly draw out the conclusion based on it. Are we all clear on this? Okay. I didn't realize it's high time now. Let's take out break, guys, and then we'll resume the class. Enjoy your break. We'll catch up in exactly 15 minutes from now. Okay, guys, is everyone back from the break? Awesome, then let's begin with. Now, the next idea we are going to talk about is the concept of mirror images, or you can say the concept about reflection of a point. Now, in this particular case, what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to understand the concept of mirror images in place. So, what exactly the concept of mirror images say? Now, we all know this fact that let's say there is a point out here, which is basically I'm treating as an object. And let's say this is a mirror in between. So we all know this fact that if this is the object, this is the mirror placed, then the image form will be bang opposite to it somewhere out here. This will be the image formed. And if let's say I name this point as A, this point as B, then I can also say that B will be bang opposite to A and it will make an angle of 90 degree with the mirror. Or you can say that mirror will act as the perpendicular bisector of the line segment AB. Mirror will act as the perpendicular bisector of the line segment AB because it will divide the complete line segment AB into two equal halves. And it is quite obvious that the distance of the object and the mirror is going to be the same distance between the image formed and the mirror. So this mirror will be bang in between the line segment AB. So it will be basically called as the midway. So you can simply say that this mirror will act as the perpendicular bisector of the line segment AB. So out here, when it comes to the concept of mirror images, with respect to the GRE context, it won't say the word mirror image or it won't say the word reflection of a point. It will actually use the word perpendicular bisector. So you yourself need to analyze this fact that if the question is talking about perpendicular bisector, then you need to relate the idea towards mirror image as the concept. So this is something you need to be mindful about. So now if let's say P is the object having the coordinates A comma B, and let's say x-axis is acting as the mirror. So the reflection of this point P along x-axis will be P dash, and the coordinates out here will have the same magnitude as A comma B only. The signs will be applied according to the quadrant. So if P is the object having the coordinates A comma B, its image form will be bang opposite to it along x-axis. So along x-axis and y-axis, you don't need to change the magnitude of the numbers. The magnitude will remain in same order, A comma B only, but signs will be applied according to the quadrant. So this P dash lies in the fourth quadrant. So the image will be in the fourth quadrant. So we'll have the coordinates as A comma minus B. So if P is the object, x-axis is acting as the mirror, then A comma minus B will be the image form. Similarly, if P is the object having coordinates A comma B, if let's say y-axis is acting as the mirror, then in that case, image form will be bang opposite to it. So somewhere out here, let's name it as P double dash. Here also the magnitude of the points will remain same, that is A comma B only, but the signs will be applied according to the quadrant. So this P double dash lies in the second quadrant. So the point which lies in the second quadrant will be negative comma positive. So mirror image will be minus A comma B. So the bottom line is along the line x-axis and y-axis, magnitude of the points remain the same. If it is A comma B, it will remain A comma B, A comma B, but signs will be applied according to the quadrant. Similarly, if P double dash is the object and x-axis is acting as the mirror, so if this is the object, this is the mirror, then in that case, image form will be bang opposite to it. So it will be somewhere out here. So let's name it as P triple dash. Magnitude will remain same, A comma B only, but signs will be applied according to the quadrant. So this is third quadrant. We'll have the coordinates as minus A comma minus B. So these will be the 4 mirror images of the respective points. So P will be the mirror image of P double dash. P double dash will be the image of P triple dash. P triple dash will be the image of P dash, and 4 of them will be mirror images to each other with respect to X and the Y axis. So along X axis and Y axis, what you can simply say is along X and the Y axis, magnitude remains the same. The signs are applied according to the quadrant. I repeat, along x-axis and y-axis, the magnitude of the point remains the same. The signs are applied according to the quadrant. Are we all clear on this? Great, then note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay, guys. So this was the mirror image along the line x and the y-axis. Now let us analyze along y is equals to x line. So simply remember, if P is the object and mirror is now placed at y is equals to x line. So if P is the object having the coordinates a comma b and mirror is placed along the line y is equals to x, then let's say Q will be the image form. So to find out the mirror image along the line y is equals to x, simply remember you need to flip the coordinates to get the mirror images. Simple and straightforward. So let's say if the coordinates are 3 comma 5, its mirror image will be simply 5 comma 3. If the coordinates are minus 3 comma 5, simply the mirror image will be 5 comma minus 3. So you just need to flip the coordinates to get the mirror images along the line y is equals to x. Simple, straightforward. Quickly note down the idea and then we'll talk about the line y is equals to minus x. Okay, guys, moving on. Now, along the line y is equals to x, you need to just flip the coordinates to get the mirror images. But along the line y is equals to minus x, if P is the object having the coordinates a comma b, R will be the image form. And what you need to remember is along the line y is equals to minus x, you need to flip the coordinates as well as change the sign. to get the mirror images. So out here, if it is about 3, 5, so you need to first of all flip the coordinates, so it will become 5, 3, and now change the sign. So this will become -5, -3 as the mirror image. Similarly, if it is about -3, 5, you first of all need to flip the coordinates, so it will become 5, -3, and now you need to change the sign. So this +5 will become -5, and this -3 will become +3, and you'll get -5, 3 as the mirror image of the point -3, 5. So the bottom line is, when it is about the line y is equals to -x, then you need to flip the coordinates as well as change the sign. And the bottom line which you need to remember out here is that the question will not use the word reflection or the mirror image. The question will use the word perpendicular bisector. So when perpendicular bisector as the word is used with respect to coordinate geometry, then you should be applying the concept of mirror image in that context. Note down this idea, and then we'll generalize the idea on single screen. First of all, note it down, and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. So this is something you need to be mindful about. If let's say P is the object, if x-axis is acting as the mirror, then P dash will be the image form having coordinates a comma minus B. If P is the object, y-axis is acting as the mirror, then P double dash will be the image form having coordinates minus a comma B. If P is the object, mirror is placed along the line y is equals to x, so you need to flip the coordinates to get the mirror images. So it will be Q, B comma A. And if P is the object and mirror is placed along the line y is equals to minus x, then you need to flip the coordinates as well as change the sign. So the mirror image will be the point R having the coordinates minus B comma minus A. So this is the generalization which you need to remember with respect to the reflection of a point along these 4 basic lines. 30 seconds to note down the idea, and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now, this was about a point and its reflection on the graph. Now, let us talk about reflection of a line along the line y is equals to x. So, just to give you the brief idea, let me draw out a figure first of all. Okay. Now let's say there is a line y is equals to x, which will look like somewhat this way. Let's say there is a line given to you and you need to find out reflection of this line along the line y is equals to x. So basically you need to find out the mirror image of this line. So if I say this is the object and this is the mirror, then obviously the reflection of this particular line has to be somewhere out here. So now how will you find out that? So what you can simply do is you can simply pick up this line wherein you can say that this line passes through this point as well as this point. So first of all, fix them as A and B and simply find out the reflection of these points A and B out here. So A will fall here and B will fall here. And now you got the reflection of these 2 points. So now you have the 2 points on this line. Using these 2 points, you can find the equation of the line. Now, mathematically, this is a good way, but this is a very long process wherein what you can simply draw out the conclusion is, if you are given that there is a particular line as ax plus by is equals to k, and you are expected to find out the reflection of this line along the line y is equals to x, then what you can simply do is you can simply exchange the coefficients of x and y, and you will get the reflection of that particular line along the line y is equals to x, and that will be simply the answer. So the point is, if it is about ax plus by is equals to k, you just need to interchange the coefficients. So it will become bx plus ay is equals to k, and that will become the answer to the question. So you don't need to get into so many calculations, which I just discussed. Justification wise, that is perfectly fine. But then wasting time on that is of no use to you. So if you are expected to find out the reflection of a line along the line y is equals to x, then you need to just simply flip the coefficients and get the answer. So the point is, if it is about 2x plus 3y is equals to 6, you can just simply exchange the coefficients and the reflection of this line will be 3x plus 2y is equals to 6, and that will become the answer to the question. Simple, straightforward. So don't get into calculations and stuff. You can simply go by this mechanism and get it sorted. But yes, there is an important aspect associated with it. The line should be of the form ax plus by plus c or is equals to c. It should not be of the form y is equals to mx plus c. If it is in this form, you need to convert it in this manner and then write it in this form. So this can be exchanged only in the context of ax plus by is equals to c, not otherwise. So you need to have in the form of ax plus by is equals to k. Then you can simply exchange the coefficients of x and y to get the reflection of this line along the line y is equals to x. Am I clear about this idea? Great, then make a note of it and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Let us try out question based on it so that we get a confirmation on what we are discussing is okay and clear. So guys, first of all, try out this question and post your answers in the chat box. Okay guys, let's begin with so it says in the rectangular coordinate system, the line y is equals to minus x is the perpendicular bisector of the line segment AB, and x-axis is the perpendicular bisector of the line segment BC. If the coordinates of the point A are minus 2 comma 8, then what are the coordinates of point C? So if you notice minus 2 comma 8, just a second guys. So if you notice minus 2 comma 8 will lie somewhere out here, and this is the point A having the coordinates minus 2 comma 8. Now he's saying that y is equals to minus x act as the perpendicular bisector of the segment AB. So therefore, if A is here, B needs to be somewhere out here, and B will be the image of A along the line y is equals to minus x. So you need to flip the coordinates as well as change the sign. So this will become minus 8 comma 2. Now it says x-axis act as the perpendicular bisector of the line segment BC. So C will somewhere out here, which will lie in the third quadrant. If coordinates of B are minus 8 comma 2, along the x-axis, magnitude of the points will remain same and the signs will be applied according to the quadrant. So therefore, the coordinates of point C should be minus 8 comma minus 2, and that will be the answer to the question. So he was asking what are the coordinates of C? The coordinates of C needs to be minus 8 comma minus 2. So this is how you are basically expected to apply the result and get the answer sorted. So if the usage is perpendicular bisector, then you need to relate the idea this way. Are we all clear on this question? Awesome then. Quickly note down the idea, 15 seconds, and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now, please try out this question. I don't think it should take this much time to solve this question. Exactly. So the given equation is 3x minus 4y is equals to 4. We need to find out the reflection of this line along x is equals to y. So just exchange the coefficients of x and y and you'll get your answer. So it will become minus 4x plus 3y is equals to 4. That's it. Sorted. You don't need to apply anything else in this context. You just need to flip the coefficients of x and y and get the answer. Sorted. That's it. Perfect then. Moving on. So as discussed, y is equals to mx plus c is the general equation of the line wherein m can be positive, can be negative, y-intercept can be positive, can be 0, can be negative, and based on that there will be 6 possibilities: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is how you can generalize and make the equation on the graph. So again, the bottom line is we are not going to spend time in formation of the line. We are going to spend time in the analysis part of the question. So analysis is much more important than anything else. So focus on analysis part rather than getting into anything else. Now, as discussed, if it is about the line x plus y is equals to 2, so this should be written as y is equals to minus x plus 2. So upon comparing it with y is equals to mx plus c, so we get to know negative slope with positive y-intercept. So this should be the line. And whatever the question will be based on it, you can answer the question asked. That's one thing. Secondly, had it been x plus y is greater than 2. So my point is, instead of equals to sign, if it would have been an inequality, then how should we go about it? So do remember that if it is about equals to sign, we have definite answers with us. But if we have inequality sign with us, then we have range of answer. And in the context of graph, the range of values will be above the line or below the line. So first of all, we are going to write it in the same manner, that is y is greater than minus x plus 2. So we'll get to know that this line will have negative slope with positive y-intercept. So negative slope with positive y-intercept will be this particular line. After this, we need to figure out whether the points below this line will solve or will follow this inequality, or the points above this line will solve or follow the inequality. So to find out that particular range, whether the points above this line or below this line satisfy, we basically do origin test with the original equation. Now what is that? We basically plug in the coordinates of origin, that is 0, 0 in the original equation and then see whether it satisfies or not. Now, if you notice, if this is the line, the formation of the line is this way, and 0, 0 lies on the left-hand side of this line. If 0, 0 satisfies this inequality, then that implies all the points in this range will satisfy. And if 0, 0 does not satisfy this inequality, that means all the point above this line will satisfy. So to find out that particular thing, we need to plug in something. And that's something we are taking origin, because coordinates of origin is the most easiest coordinate to plug in. So the original equation was x plus y is greater than 2. I'm going to plug in 0 comma 0 out here. So it will become 0 plus 0 is greater than 2. And this will become 0 is greater than 2. We just need to analyze whether the statement out here is going to be true or false. So we get the statement as 0 is greater than 2, which is a false statement. That means if this statement turns out to be false, it implies 0 comma 0, which happens to be on the left hand side of this line, does not satisfy the solution set of this inequality. If 0 comma 0 does not satisfy the solution set, which happens to be on the left hand side, then all the points above this line will satisfy. Which means I can simply say then in first quadrant, there are certain set of points which satisfy, certain point does not. Similarly, in second quadrant, certain points satisfy, certain does not. Similarly, in the third quadrant, no point satisfy. In the fourth quadrant again, certain points above the line satisfy and points below this line does not. Now here, the question can be asked in three different manners. The question can ask you which all quadrants contains at least a point that satisfy this inequality. So therefore, you will answer that quadrant 1 is such, quadrant 2 is such, as well as quadrant 4 is such, wherein there are certain points which satisfies this inequality. The question might ask you which all quadrants contains no point that satisfy this inequality. The answer in that scenario will be third quadrant, because third quadrant is such wherein no point satisfy this inequality. And had it been the question which all quadrants contains all the points that satisfies this inequality, the answer to that question will become none. Because in this particular figure, there is no such quadrant that satisfies all the points. If by chance the figure would have been this way and shading of the region would have been this way, then I could have said that first quadrant is such wherein all the points does satisfy. But in this scenario, there is no such quadrant. In this figure, there is no such quadrant wherein all the points satisfy. So the question can have any of the three language with which you need to focus and answer. At least a point, first, second, and fourth, no point, third, all the points. In this figure, it is none. So does this inequality and its formation make sense to everyone? Awesome then. Please make a note of it and then we'll move on. By the way, it has nothing to do with this question. I just use the empty space on the screen. That's it. Note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Try this question, please. Okay, guys, let's begin with. So the given equation is 4y minus 3x plus 4 is greater than 0. So this will turn out to be 4y is greater than 3x minus 4. So we'll have positive slope with negative y-intercept. Positive slope with negative y-intercept will be this particular line. And now we'll do origin test with the original equation. So that will make it 0 minus 0 plus 4 is greater than 0, which makes out 4 is greater than 0, which is a true statement. So this statement turns out to be true. So if this statement turns out to be true, that implies 0, 0, which lies on the left hand side of this line, satisfies the solution set. That means all the points above this line will satisfy. So in the first quadrant, there are few points which satisfy, few does not. In the second quadrant, all the points satisfy. In the third quadrant, few points satisfy, few does not. And in the fourth quadrant, few points satisfy, few does not. The question is asking which all quadrants contains at least one point that satisfies this inequality. So all the four quadrants are such that satisfy this inequality. So A, B, C, D, all will be the answer. So this is how you will be basically answering the question based on this idea. Does that make sense to everyone? Guys, clear about the concept? Great then. 15 seconds to note down the idea and then we'll move on. Okay, guys, moving on. Now, talking about the next idea in place is the concept about functions. Now, first of all, what you need to understand here is a very basic meaning, that is the basic meaning about the word function. So functions are basically called as special type of relations, and those relations are in between x and y only. So whatever we have discussed about the equation of a line and stuff, everything is basically connected with the linear function. So we have already discussed the linear function in detail with respect to the today's class. And now we will be also relating our conceptual idea towards the concept of quadratic functions. So first of all, the quadratic functions are written in the form of ax square plus bx plus c. And secondly, what you need to further remember is that the linear function when plotted on the graph is a straight line like this. And when quadratic functions are plotted on the graph, they are basically U-shaped curve, something like this. So the U-shaped curve, something like this, forms out the quadratic functions on the graph, and they are basically called as parabolas. So this is the gist about the idea of functions. So functions can be bifurcated in two portions. One is linear function and the other is quadratic function. Linear functions basically means plotting a straight line on the graph, which we have already discussed, and plotting the quadratic functions on the graph is basically making out the parabolas. Now, before we get into the depths of quadratic functions and the parabolas, let me introduce the idea about functions altogether. Now, first of all, the concept of functions relate to the meaning. Meaning says it's a special type of relation. And as I said, the relationship between x and y denotes the function. Now, when a linear function is written, it can be written in four different formats, but all makes the same sense. So you can write a straight line as a function in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. It will denote a straight line. Or you can write it as f of x is equals to mx plus c. That will also denote the same thing. You can write it as y is equals to f of x is equals to mx plus c. That will also denote the same thing. You can write it as f of x is equals to y is equals to mx plus c. That also denotes the same thing. No matter out of these four ways you write in which sense, it will always give you the equation of a straight line only. So that is something. The four different ways to write a function, but all means the same thing. Let's say there is a function given to us, f of x is equals to 2x square plus 3. And you are asked, find the value of f of 2. Now, f of x is given to us as 2x square plus 3, and you are asked, find the value of f of 2. It implies you just are expected to replace the value of x as 2 in the given function. So here it will become 2 multiplied by 2 square plus 3. So we know 2 square is 4. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 will be 11. Now, most importantly, how to read this information is also very important. This implies when I look into the coordinate geometry context, it will imply that for this function, when the value of x was 2, the value of y was 11, and the coordinate 2 comma 11 will satisfy this function fx is equals to 2x squared plus 3. That means what we can simply generalize is that the values which we plug in the function is the value of x, and the answers what we get is the value of y. So the values which we plug in, . is going to be the value of x, and upon solving, whatever answers we get is the value of y. So mathematically, this plugin, which is basically the value of x, is called domain of the function, and the answers what we get, which is basically the value of y, is called range of the function. But ideally, GRE does not directly test you on the concept of domain and range, so we'll keep that out. Even if the word turns up domain and range, you should know that domain means the values of x which you can plug in the function. Range means the value of y which you will get after solving it out. Simple, straightforward. Similarly, if we are given f of x is equals to 2x square plus 3 and you are asked find the value of f of minus 3. So it basically implies you need to replace the value of x as minus 3. So this will become 2 times minus 3 whole square plus 3. Minus 3 square will be plus 9. 9 2 is 18. 18 plus 3 is going to be 21. And that will be the value of f of minus 3. That means when x is minus 3, y will be 21. So this will be the coordinate that will satisfy. Also, what you need to remember is if we are given f of x is equals to 2x square plus 3, and let's say we are asked find the value of f of x plus h. So out here, what you need to do is you need to replace the value of x as x plus h in the function, and this function now will become 2 times x plus h whole square plus 3, wherein a plus b whole square identity will be applicable, and then you will express and find out the answer. My only objective to declare out here is that if we are expected to find out f of x plus h, you cannot write it as 2x square plus h plus 3. If you write it this way, that will go wrong. You are expected to replace the value of x out here with x plus h, and this will become the relativity, and this will become the new idea which they are asking you to find out. So guys, does these basic points make sense to everyone? Awesome, then please make a note of it and then we'll move on. Okay. Now we will be discussing a particular variant of the question with respect to the function. So let's say the question goes by a hash b is equals to ab plus b. Quantity a says 2 hash 3 and quantity b says minus 2 hash minus 3. You're expected to solve this question and post your answers in the chat box. So basically, this is the first variant of the question which you can encounter under the concept of functions. Try it out and then we'll discuss at length. Okay. First of all, my question to you all is there anyone who says, I didn't understand the question at all? Okay. So basically, the point in this question is simple and straightforward. There is a meaning or definition is given in the question itself. So A hash B means means A multiplied by B plus B. You are expected to compare the two quantities 2 hash 3 and minus 2 hash minus 3. So out here, you are just going to compare this as A hash B only, A hash B only. So here in the context of quantity A, you will take A as 2 and B as 3 and you will solve it out. So it is AB plus B. So this will become 2 into 3 plus 3. So this becomes 6 plus 3, which is 9. Similarly, with respect to quantity B, it is minus 2 hash minus 3. So it is AB plus B. That is what you need to find out. So it will be minus 2 multiplied by minus 3 plus of minus 3. So that makes out 3 to the 6 minus 3. That makes it 3. So here quantity A turns out to be 9. Quantity B turns out to be 3. So obviously 3 is smaller than 9 or 9 is greater than 3. So quantity A turns out to be greater than quantity B. So henceforth the answer to the question will be option A. So basically the point is, in such kind of question, the definition will be already given in the question. Using that definition, you need to solve out the two quantities. So you don't need to apply your mind at all in these questions. You just need to use the definition already given in the question. Are we all okay and clear on this type of question? Great then. So I'll be concluding today's class here itself. In the next class, we'll be starting over the concept of quadratic functions in detail, and we'll be learning out the concept in detail. So approximately first 1 hour, I would say we'll be spending on a maximum of 1 hour. We'll be spending on the functions and the quadratic functions in detail and the leftover portions in this chapter. And after that, we will be starting with the concept of statistics. So that will be the next chapter we'll be starting with. So that's all from my side for today, guys. I hope you learned something new and good about coordinate geometry. Please focus on completion of the homework previously and try to visit and revise the today's class as well. We'll be catching up in the next class on Monday. Monday now, yes, Monday. Thanks a lot for joining in, guys. Have a very, very good night. Just be safe and take care. And we are coming up with the Christmas as well. So Merry Christmas in advance. Awesome then. Bye bye. Take care.